Hello YouTube, I'm David with the David West channel. Well, today I wanted to show you some more feats with the amazing paper towel. You've seen videos of me where I've used it for the Rudiger roll. I'll put that video right here. And you've also seen me use it on a empty Bic ignition. Tear off a little piece of it, stick it up in that striker wheel, and go ahead and ignite it that way. So we already know how tough the paper towel is. What I want you to see this morning is that you can take and char it just as if it were char cloth, and it does a great job. You would think charring a paper towel, it would come out of the can and actually be too delicate to handle, but indeed you can unfold the paper towel and it has that much strength. You would think if it does catch a spark, you would think that it immediately burn up just like flash tinder, but it does not. Now, it can't transfer as much heat as regular char cloth. Like I've tried it before, paper towel char material to ignite denim before, and there's just not enough density, there's not enough mass there to get hot enough to transfer that much heat. But for stuff like pine needles and newspaper and straw and leaves, it'll work beautifully. So let's go ahead and just make up some quickie char cloth. You know, my favorite way to do that is just to go ahead and use the alcohol stove. Oh, Tim Can the Jig Man made this stove for me a couple of years ago. It might not even have been 2 years ago. Such a beautiful job he did, and he made one out of a Foster's beer can for me too. But this little drink can, it's my favorite. And I want to leave a link to his channel. You got to check him out. Not only is he the best alcohol stove maker, he also made a video where he used an ammo can and made a wood burning stove out of it, something to be used inside of a tent. You need to check that video out. And so I'll put that link right here. So thanks, Tim. Great stove right here, and we're going to be using it again this morning. Now, you'll want to be very careful because there's some fuel on the table and there's some fuel on my thumb. So you do not want to set yourself on fire, of course. I'm thinking, what did I do with this spent Bic right here? I'm thinking in warm weather like this, I'm thinking that should be enough to ignite the stove. Let's see. Because if it's not, we're going to go ahead and ignite some paper towel with this. And it did. It lit it up. So once them jets around the sides start firing, we'll go ahead and put our char cloth on it. So now we'll have good sharp edges, but I prefer using it dull. But it doesn't make for good video when you have to strike something 10 times to get ignition, so that's all right. I don't mind cracking off a piece of it. Now I have good sharp edges here and good sharp edges here. Those jets should be firing up in just a little bit. And the little sections that I cut off the legs on my table, we'll go ahead and use that for a windscreen of sorts. All right. Finally used up the flint in that orange one, but here's another one. My last empty lighter. I'm gonna tear a strip off about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch of paper towel. And we'll take this furry end, stick it on down in there. You don't want to roll it up too tight. As usual, you want to consider how much air can get to it. And I'll have to stop occasionally. Every 3 or 4 strikes, and make sure that this is still stuck down in there. Let's try it. I guess we could go ahead and start a little fire with it, couldn't we? So, pretty easy. This char cloth, charred paper towel is long since done. I'll just let the rest of that fuel burn out of there while this cools off. All right, the big reveal. Oh, can you see that? A mirror image of Bounty. I don't know, it might be printed out straight after it gets on video. You see where you see where it says Bounty right there on the paper towel? Let's look at it. And it'll open right up. And this was folded into thirds here. Trying to be gentle with it. Ta-da! Whoa. Oh, you can still read Bounty on it. Let me see if I can orient it where you can read Bounty on there. Right there. Alright, I'm going to break it up into 6 pieces and do flint and steel on it. I'm going to try to do one close-up and then I'll do the rest from behind the table. Alright, hold on. Gotta get my flint and steel. Alright, gonna fold it in 4. Lay it up on that sharp edge. Let's see, I guess I need to lay it up over here. And it did fall apart just a little bit. Now, you ready? There's not a lot of mass there, so I try to wad it up and stick it in like all wadded up. Alright, let's do it 5 more times. This is the fun part where we get to play with it now. 5 more times. Gotta get my pine needles ready this time. Let's try that.
You can't beat constant airflow. That's why I wave so much of my stuff.
Fold it in fourths. Get it up on that edge, that good sharp edge. Close to the edge. Well, not many pine needles in this one. We got one more left. Let's try a piece of newspaper for the last one. Let me go get a piece of newspaper. I'll be right back for our last piece of paper towel char cloth. Alright, let's see if we can get it with this denim char cloth. You never know what's going to happen when it comes down to real fire making, something that's not all edited out and contrived and faked and lied about. I try to show you like it goes down. Now there are some things that I edit out. A lot of times I misspeak, or a lot of times it takes several tries. But for the most part, what you see on this channel is pretty much the way it goes down. Alright, y'all. I appreciate you joining me on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.